Hello, my name is Sandy Adamitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Hey writers, it's Sandy. I'm solo but excited to talk to you about today's subject. Did you know the iconic Hollywood sign is 100 years old this month? I'm trying to remember the first time I saw the Hollywood sign. I'd moved to LA and I was so busy looking for work, a job, a place to live that I didn't have time to seek it out. And I vaguely knew where it was, but I wasn't really sure. Then one day I was driving north on a street in Hollywood, and there it was before me up on the hill. It felt like seeing an old friend. I eventually turned east and lost sight of it. Anyway, we're going to start way back in 1887 and take it year by year. No, but we are going back to 1887, where the Hollywood sign is now. It was the home to the area's native people, the Gabarlinos from California, who believed both women and men could be shamans and religious leaders of the tribe. Now we're jumping all the way to 1912. Word of Hollywood's ideal climate and landscape had spread back east, and independent studios rushed to get in on the inside track. Old barns were turned into sound stages, and the peaceful days of Hollywood would never be the same. Side note, I always thought the early studios were in New York, but according to the HollywoodSign.org, Thomas Edison began suing rival producers, Thomas, who were utilizing filmmaking projection devices based, he felt, on his kinescope technology. Many of these movie pirates fled from New Jersey, home of the Edison Company and the original movie capital, first to Cuba, then to California. So interesting. 1923, the Hollywood sign was originally erected as Hollywoodland as an advertisement to lure real estate investors. Built by a Los Angeles Times publisher, Harry Chandler, as an epic $21,000 billboard for his upscale Hollywoodland real estate development. The sign took on the role of a giant marquee, 7 miles of road that had been cut, and 300,000 cubic yards of dirt had been moved. The billboard was massive. Each of the original 13 letters was 30 feet wide and 43 feet tall, constructed of 3x9 metal squares rigged together by an intricate frame of scaffolding, pipes, wires, and telephone poles. Now, all of this material had to be dragged up Mount Lee by laborers on simple dirt paths. Few know that a giant white dot 35 feet in diameter with 20-watt lights on the perimeter was constructed below the sign to catch the eye. The sign itself featured 4,000 20-watt bulbs spaced 8 inches apart. The sign blinked into the Hollywood night. First Holly, then wood, then finally land, punctuated by a giant period. Must have been really, really cool. 1932. Peg Entwistle, an unknown actress, became the symbol of a Hollywood dream gone bad. Peg was a Broadway actress with some success when she made a move to Hollywood and moved in with her uncle on Beechwood Drive, in the shadow of the Hollywood sign. Peg struggled to find work or to even stand out among the many talented beauties around her. She did get a role in a thriller, 13 Women, but much of her performance was cut from the final movie. Peg was let go from her RKO contract. On the evening of September 16th, 1932, Peg told her uncle that she was going to meet up with her friends, but instead hiked up the canyon to the Hollywood sign. That could not have been easy. I Googled how she actually got up to the Hollywood sign, and I just kept finding things like she went up the north side. It was all location, but I just can't imagine how she climbed up that high. She climbed 50 feet up to the top of the H and plunged to her death. Peg, dubbed now by the tabloids as the Hollywood sign girl, was only 24 years old. Inside her purse was a suicide note which read, "I'm afraid I'm a coward. I'm sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain. P.E." According to Hollywood legend, a letter to Peg arrived the day after her death from the Beverly Hills Playhouse. She was offered the lead role in a play about a woman driven to suicide. Others say her ghost haunts the famous landmark ever since, leaving behind the scent of gardenias, said to be her favorite perfume. 1941. Hollywood rallies around and takes care of our returning World War II soldiers, entertaining, feeding, and sheltering them. The Hollywoodland real estate development went out of business, one of many because of the Depression. The sign, which hadn't been maintained in years, became the property of the city in 1944. By the 60s, the iconic sign was rusted, falling apart, and literally about to crumble under its own weight. 1973, the City of Los Angeles Cultural Heritage Board gave the sign official landmark status, monument number 111. The ceremony was hosted by silent film star Gloria Swanson. We all know Gloria is the lead in my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies. Say it with me. Sunset Boulevard. The sign continued to decline. The top of the D and the entire third O toppled down, and an arsonist set fire to the bottom of the second L. This is why we cannot have nice things. Pranksters altered the sign's letters to read Holly Weed. 1978, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce said the sign required a complete rebuilding. And unfortunately, that would be with a price tag of $250,000. Things looked bleak for the sign till some showbiz names came to save the day. Fleetwood Mac pledged a charity concert, but local residents prevented it. I hope to this day every single one of those residents looks back and says, "What was I thinking?" Then Howard Hughes hosted a gala fundraiser at the Playboy Mansion where individual sign letters were auctioned off at $27,700 per letter. Alice Cooper bought an O in honor of Groucho Marx, while singing cowboy Gene Autry sponsored the L and Andy Williams sponsored the W. Thanks to all the help of these and other donors, the sign was poised for its overhaul. The old sign was scrapped in August 78, and for 3 months, Hollywood had no sign. That sounds like a kind of cool movie. It can be kind of mystical when the sign wasn't up on the hills. 194 tons of concrete, enamel, and steel later were used, and the sign was reborn. 1987. The sign once again is altered, this time to Hollywood, commemorating a visit from Pope John II. 2000. We're moving along here. The Hollywood Sign Trust hired Panasonic to install a state-of-the-art security system. The system, which is monitored 24/7 to protect the sign and its neighbors from unwanted visitors and the dangers of fire, was upgraded with new technologies in 2005. 2012, Sherwin-Williams gave the Hollywood sign a complete makeover, and the paint used is called Hollywood White. Today, the sign is poised to celebrate its 100th anniversary in 2023, when Hollywood's biggest star will receive accolades from millions of fans around the world. HOLLYWOOD, 9 letters representing the entertainment industry, fame, hope, wealth, desire, ideas. The list is endless. The research for this story includes an article from Deadline, Hollywood Sign Turns 100, the historic landmark in photos by Robert Lang, the Hollywood Sign from hollywoodsign.org, Gabrielina.org website, and an article from Town and Country entitled The Tragic True Story of Peg Edwards, the actress who jumped to her death from the Hollywood Sign by Liz Cantrell. That's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and thrive. Till we get to hang out again, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Executive producer, Kristen O'Verne. Producers, Terry Sampson and Sandy Adamitis. Music by Ethan Stoller.